All right, I put together a list of 10 things to do in Michigan's Lower Peninsula this winter. Now, do I expect you to go out and do all 10 of these things? Well, no, I don't. But I do want you to use it as an inspiration to go out and have adventures of your own. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this episode of Go Here and Do This. I'm pairing this list with Ludington Bay Brewing's Djibouti. Now, I also paired the UPs with this exact beer, but it's because it's been serving me so well over this winter time, and I really think that it kind of adds to the feeling of winter with its roasty, toasty notes, and I just love a good barrel-aged stout. But with that being said, let's get started. Number 1, fat biking. Over the last, 10 years, fat biking has become increasingly popular as a winter activity, and really it keeps you outdoors if you really enjoy biking. Now, I see it as two different versions of fat biking. Number 1 is find an excellent groomed trail that's going to help you get outside and put the miles on and get an excellent workout. Number 2 is my preferred way of fat biking, which is to use it as an adventure to help you go a few more miles. And in this case, we used it to bike the trail all the way out to Big Sabo Lighthouse, which is really becoming one of my favorite lighthouses to visit almost every season because I think that each time you're out there, it offers a slightly different experience. And if you're wanting to have less people out there while you're taking photos, this is a great time. Number 2, slide down your favorite hill. And what I mean by that is I prefer snowboarding, but you can ski, you can even sled or go tubing. But get out there and do that because for me, going to Cabernet with a group of friends and skiing and snowboarding all day is one of my favorite ways to spend a day in the winter time in the Lower Peninsula. Now, Cabernet is not the only spot. You can go to Mount Brighton, you can go to Nubbs Knob, Crystal Mountain. There are spots scattered all across the Lower Peninsula, so it's worth going to a few of them if that's what you're into. And then experiencing all the different spots makes that fun. Number 3, snowmobiling. I want you to hear me out on this one because sometimes snowmobiling can feel like its own world. You have to own one, you have to trailer one, you have to repair one, and then you have to be able to go out and ride when you have the time to go do it. But for me, I grew up snowmobiling, so I love to go out and do it, but unfortunately, I don't own one now. So what I did is I go out and I'll rent one a couple times a year, and it really scratches that itch for me. In this case in particular, the trails around Crystal Mountain are awesome. They have a bunch of different well taken care of groomed trails that are really scenic to ride. It was my first time riding that area, and I do plan on going back and riding that area again. Number 4, let's talk about breweries. Sampling the local beverages in Michigan is a great way to spend an evening because let's face it, it does get dark early. So going out and being able to experience some of Michigan's excellent craft brews is a great way that you can spend the day. Now, of course, Ludington Bay Brewing supports what we do and helps us go out and explore Michigan. So, of course, my recommendation is when you're in Ludington to stop by there. In fact, the last time we were there, we did a test flight, and this is the conclusion that I came to.
It's between the pumpkin and Djibouti, but I gotta go with Djibouti. I could all the time. It's the right season, right? It's so good. Exactly. Yeah, I'll take. Cheers to that one.
Yeah, shocker, right? I picked the one that I have now. But it's not just about the beverages themselves. You want to go and sample across the board. The craft brewing scene in Michigan is usually paired with a unique eating experience at each one of those spots. So I would recommend that. Okay, actually, now that I think about it, I said that these are outdoor activities and that's particularly indoor. So make sure that you go, and if you're into this sort of thing, go to a beer fest. Like in Ludington, there's the Breer Fest, B-R-R-E-E-R. They put beer and burr together. So it's the Breer Fest. That's an awesome one. I think that one's happening on January 29th, 2022. I'll put a check mark right here if I'm right. Let's talk about number 5. This can be a little tricky because I'm talking about lighthouses in the Lower Peninsula. Some of them are on the end of piers, and getting out there, getting access, they can become slippery. The water is terrifyingly cold, so it's kind of harder to experience those ones firsthand. But my recommendation is going to Point Betsy Lighthouse. You get to park right there, you get to walk out onto the beach that's usually covered in snow, and at that place, it is hard to take a bad photo in that area. If you're looking for just some excellent landscape photography, Point Betsy Lighthouse is an awesome recommendation, but please be careful. Number 6, outdoor ice skating. Now this isn't regionally specific because there's usually a spot in each town that's cold enough to freeze that they have an outdoor rink. And usually they have rentals attached to those outdoor rinks. Or if you're lucky, you can have a friend who has a pond who maintains the pond and creates their own outdoor rink. And that's what I like to do. So also my recommendation, get a friend who has an outdoor rink. Number 7, I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite ways to get outside in the wintertime, and this is easy and it can be done anywhere. It's the 15-minute photo contest. Get a group of friends, go to a picturesque, scenic area, and then set a timer for 15 minutes. When you say go, everyone scatters and goes and takes the most artistic, funniest, just overall best photo that they can possibly take with their phone. And then everybody comes back together after the 15 minutes. Don't go beyond the 15 minutes, that's what makes it fun, and shares their best photo with each other. And then everybody in the group votes on their favorite. Now, if you're usually like my friends, we have to set up a rule where we can't vote on our own because that wouldn't make any sense. If you want to take it one step further, post those online and then have everybody else vote on which one is their favorite, and then you can really figure out who the winner is, not the winter. Number 8, Jordan Valley Outfitters Winter Rafting. Now, here's the thing. I love getting out on the water anytime I possibly can, and this is one of the easiest and safest ways to do that in the winter time. And what I mean by that is this is an all skill levels experience. You can have somebody who's never been on the water in their life and somebody who's an experienced paddle sports person like I am, and each person is going to equally have fun on this. The guides really make it easy for everyone to understand it, and it's not like whitewater rafting where you're like, oh no, I might fall in. No, this is like a serene, peaceful experience. Now here's the thing, they're not the only ones that do that. They do that on the Jordan River, and then there's some that are, say, closer to Gaylord, like the Sturgeon River Paddle Sports. Those guys, obviously, they operate on the Sturgeon River. Both options are great. Number 9, snowshoeing. Now, I feel like I have very strong opinions about snowshoeing and how it should be done. Now, let me explain what I mean. Go out and get a great pair of boots. That's going to get you 90% of the way there for winter hiking. But if there's more snow than, say, up to your shin, that's when snowshoeing really becomes fun and when I would recommend actually putting on the snowshoes. Until then, the good pair of boots are going to be plenty for what you want to do out in the wintertime. The nice thing about snowshoes is usually they're a one-time investment and you get to keep them for years. If that doesn't work, usually a place with enough snow to warrant snowshoeing has a place that can rent them for you, and it's a pretty reasonable rental most of the time. I do need to add a disclaimer to this. I love snowshoeing in fresh powder, and I love hiking when the fresh powder isn't there without the snowshoes. But some trails ask you to wear the snowshoes because it's a multi-use place, and in that case, when it's asked that you wear the snowshoes so that you don't tear them up with just your boots, then I will wear it because they ask it, because I will follow the rules if they ask me. Number 10, that is our hidden gem of the week. If you're like me, you're team sunset, which also means you like watching sunsets. And I have a spot that really makes this feel special. In Charlevoix, they have a candlelit hike that happens at Mount McSawa every Friday through the winter, at least till the end of February. What they do is they have these candlelit lanterns that meander you through the woods and get you out to the beach just in time to watch the sun go down. And when we were there, they also had a nice roaring fire to stand after the show of the sun drops down. That is my hidden gem of the week. Is this a complete outdoor list of everything that you can do in the Lower Peninsula during the winter? Well, of course not. It's not even close. So if you have a favorite spot, I would love to hear from you so that we can go and maybe explore that area ourselves. Sharing our adventures brings me a great deal of satisfaction and joy. And Ludington Bay Brewing helps make that possible. So if you're in the area, make sure you stop by their brewery. Until next time, cheers.